There are times when the heavy, velvet curtain which shrouds the workings of the Russian state is lifted and an underlying system comes into view. It does not happen very often, but the effect can be startling. A speech in a Moscow courtroom by the former Economic Development Minister, Alexei Ulukayev, provided one of those moments. It was a mea culpa, a confessional prayer marking the end of a long career at the top of the Russian government. Caught up in a senseless bureaucratic ring dance, I received certain gifts and I gave a few myself, admitted the 61-year-old. I was trying to build relationships and I was hypocrite. Image Rosneft boss Igor Sechin Aliyev. Mr. Putin. Last November, Mr. Ulukayev went to the palatial offices of Russia's state-owned oil behemoth Rosneft and met the company's CEO, Igor Sechin. It seemed an amiable affair, the two men chatting about various topics before Mr. Sechin handed over a gift basket. He was also recording the encounter. Mr. Ulukayev told the court that he thought Mr. Sechin had presented him with a string of homemade sausages and some wine. But when he exited Rosneft's headquarters, Russia's FSB security police were there to check over the merchandise. Officers did not find any smoked kielbasa, but they did discover $2 million, £1.5 million in crisp new notes. The economics minister was then dragged away shouting, "What the hell is going on here?" The following day, the longtime technocrat was fired by President Vladimir Putin and placed under house arrest. The Kremlin's well-tailored spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said Mr. Alyev's arrest was part of their ongoing fight against corruption. ExxonMobil fined for violating sanctions against Russia. Image Mr. Putin fired the minister after officers discovered £1.5 million in crisp new notes. The former minister was charged with bribery in return for allowing Rosneft to take a 50% stake in another state-run oil firm called Bashneft. But Mr. Ulukayev denied it, calling the encounter a provocation. Imagine a familiar state official who has worn out his welcome. You invite him for a walk, tell him to hold your briefcase while you tie up your shoelaces. And then the good guys pop out the bushes by wearing out his welcome. Mr. Ulukayev is probably referring to an intergovernment turf war over the Rosneft-Bashneft deal. It is thought that the liberal faction in Mr. Putin's circle wanted to privatize the half-share of Bashneft while Mr. Sechin was fighting to incorporate it into his company. One thing was absolutely clear: the head of Rosneft was not prepared to talk about it. He may have been the prosecution's star witness, the man who organized a sting against a senior government minister, but Mr. Sechin repeatedly refused to appear in court. His spokesman said he was too busy. Russian Minister Alexei Ulukayev charged over £1.6 million oil bribe. His real crime may have been angering Mr. Sechin, reckoned by some to be President Putin's number two, and it is an error likely to cost him 10 years of his life. John Sparks. The case proceeded regardless. Russian law, it seems, does not apply to the Rosneft boss, and Mr. Ulukayev could see the writing on the wall. In an astonishing speech on the final day of the trial, he decided to say sorry for a lifetime's work. He said, "All too often I put my career and welfare before my principles. Only when you find yourself in trouble do you begin to understand how hard people actually have it and grasp the injustice they face. When you're living comfortably, you're shamey ignorant about human grief. Forgive me for this, people." Mr. Ulukayev may have spoken for the entire Russian civil service. Many employees seek positions that pay what one official described to me as real money obtained through unrecorded fees, bribes and contract surcharges. The former minister gave us a glimpse of the system where personal enrichment coexists with a ruthless battle for control. But his real crime may have been angering Mr. Sechin, reckoned by some to be President Putin's number two, and it is an error likely to cost him 10 years of his life. Sky Views is a series of comment pieces by Sky News editors and correspondents, published every morning. Previously on Sky Views, Jason Farrell is the Primodos report, a whitewash.